Okay, so I want to talk to you about solving differential equations. The process is the same whether you're finding a general solution or a particular solution. The particular solution just has like an extra step at the end. So the first step is always you want to separate your variables. You want your y's on your left side and your x's on your right side. So over here, to get on the general solution, to get the y's on the left side, you're going to need to divide by 3y minus 1. So we're going to get 1 over 3y minus 1 dy. And that's going to get all your y's together. Now to get the x's together, you would need to multiply both sides by dx, and you'd get x dx. So that's always your first step with differential equations. Separate your variables. On a free response question, in typical years, that's a point. Just separate your variables. Now we would need to integrate both sides. So right here on the left side, you could think through like using a u substitution, but it's y to the first on the bottom, which means it's going to be an ln. Now, if you just think through taking the derivative of ln of 3y minus 1, you put that 3y minus 1 on the bottom, then you would have to multiply by the derivative, which is 3. So since we're integrating in this problem, that means instead of 3, we would need a 1/3. You could also run through a u substitution and kind of check that out for yourself. And then on your right side, it's a little easier. It's just x squared over 2, and then you have plus c because these are indefinite integrals. So that on a typical like year for free response questions is anywhere from 2 to 3 points. You get your antiderivatives, you get your plus c. So since it's asking for a general solution, that means we're still going to have a c in here. We just need to get y by itself. So we would start by multiplying by 3 to get rid of that 1/3. So ln of 3y minus 1 is going to equal 3x squared over 2. You could write 3c, but 3c is still a constant, so I'm just going to call it c still. Now remember that ln and e are inverses of each other. So if we want to get rid of ln, we're going to have to exponentiate both sides. So those are going to cancel and leave you with 3y minus 1. Now over here on the right side, I want to expand this a little. This really means you have e to the 3x squared over 2 times e to the c. Because when you have things where the exponents are added together, that means you can split it and the two things were multiplied. So if you think through like x squared times x to the 5th, that's equal to x to the 7th, because what you did was you took these two exponents and added them together. So e to the c is just another constant, so we're going to call that like a capital C, and we'll just pull that out front. So this is equal to c e to the 3x squared over 2. Now this 3y minus 1 is in absolute values, which means it could either be positive or it could be negative. So to be able to actually solve for y, we're going to have to say this is either positive or negative c e to the 3x squared over 2. Because absolute value, it could be positive, it could be negative. So then to completely get our general solution, we would add 1, we would divide by 3. So 1 plus or minus c e to 3x squared over 2 all over 3. That would be our general solution. Now with particular solutions, we do the same process, but we actually have to find what c is. And with a particular solution, there's no leaving a plus or minus in there. You've got to use that initial condition to make a decision. So we separate our variables. So we would multiply by y. We would multiply by dx. And then now we integrate both sides. So y squared over 2 equals negative x squared over 2 plus some constant c. So now to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to multiply by 2. So that's going to give me y squared equals negative x squared, and then 2 times c is still just some constant c. So now what I have to do is I have to use this to be able to solve for c. Technically, you can use it at any point, but it's pretty easy to use it here. So if I plug in negative square root of 5 in place of y, and 1 in place of x, that's going to let me solve for c. So it's going to give me 5 equals negative 1 plus c, so that means c is equal to 6. So you're going to take that and plug it back in. So now that is going to give me y squared equals, I'm just going to put this first so that the positive thing is first. But now we've got c plugged in there. So we solve for y, but when you take a square root, you get either the positive answer or the negative answer. So you've got to decide like which answer do I go with here. That's where, again, we evaluate using the initial condition. Your initial condition is negative. So that means we have to choose the negative option. So negative square root of 6 minus x squared. Let me know if you guys need any help on getting your differential equation solved today.